Okay, I have begun.
Gone live?
I just hit the button. It takes a second for us to catch up to that. I see me. Hey guys, how you doing, everybody? We sit and wait for others to join. A couple people have popped in. And it got a 1 like.
What's that?
Got 1 like.
Cool.
So we have a few new people that said they were going to join us today. We'll see if they make it or not. I had questions about when we did our live show. So we're ready for your questions and see how everybody's doing today. Luis says hi. Hi, Luis. Thank you for joining us. Athusa says hi, Siofra and Ian. Emily says happy Sunday. Hope all is well. Violet says hi, guys. So awesome. Jacqueline says hello, Siofra and Ian. Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you guys for joining us today. I'm sort of low key today. I'm sure that the show will cheer me up a little bit. Emerald says hello. Hi, Emerald. How are you doing? So what do we want to talk about today? We have 2 videos up. The one on Harm None and the one that Ian just put up yesterday morning. Moonradish says, hello, I've been enjoying your videos. Hi, Moonradish.
That's a unique name.
Yeah, 13 even. We like your name. Jonathan says, hi, everyone. Siofra, Ian, both your videos this week mention the concept of attaining subjective perfection. Can you please comment on dead ends versus pinnacles, i.e. the Hermit card? Hello, Aaron says hello. Well, they're difficult to figure out sometimes which one you're on. And that's the trick. I mean, being able to determine the difference between the universe trying to put a stop to what you're doing or telling you that you're going in the wrong direction or presenting a challenge and an obstacle for you to overcome. And that's one of those things that no one can really tell you exactly which one it is until you figure it out. Emerald says, I'm good. Glad to see you are well. Yes, we are alive and well. Ruth says, hi, all. Hi, Ruth. How are you doing? I
don't know. I don't have too much to add to that. Subjective perfection, dead ends versus pinnacles. I don't know. The Hermit card isn't necessarily a pinnacle. It's a pinnacle before the next phase.
So like a...
which comes with the Wheel of Fortune.
Sort of like a stopping point, well, and it's restaging.
Everything works in cycles, and so if you want to look at the tarot cards, you can look at the first ones as the highest up. You can look at the others relating down the planes till you get to the last one, Resurrection. So yeah, I don't really know. It's hard to know when you're at a pinnacle.
So Violet says, obstacles are driving me crazy. I'm sorry. They're never fun. Luna says, hi, Siofra and Ian. How are you both? Thank you, Ian, for the video.
You're welcome.
Violet says, I'm, however, going inward, so artsy is on my table all over.
Okay.
Well, art is a good outlet for putting stuff out so you can look at it that's inside of yourself. Oh, and to answer the question some people had about Ian's video, he did it in his room, and because it was really cold out here, and the art on the that you saw in the video is actually his newest piece that he's working on, and
it's only about half done.
Yeah, it isn't finished yet, and the other question was when would prints be available of the art he already has done, and we're looking at a little bit of time yet because we need to get the right camera and he needs to do the varnish and stuff on it. So we'll let you know when that happens. Jennifer S. says, hello all. Hi, Jennifer. Jacqueline says, when presented with a challenge to overcome versus stopping the course, I usually get signs of encouragement from the universe.
Yeah. That's a good.
Sometimes I do too, but sometimes it's the kind of a test, like, are you really committed to to going through with this? Like, if I'm going to a special kind of ritual. And so I've had a few like that. Is that a snake on your necklace? No. This is a phoenix. And my amethyst, and I've charged it up with the amethyst crystal web energy, and right now I could certainly use some joy, peace, and tranquility, so I've been wearing it. Josiah says, I'm really trying to overcome my own self-doubt to start practicing, and I was hoping you may have some pointers for readying myself. Well, be ready for a lot of surprises, for it to not do what you expect it to be, and to have to face all of the shadows within you, which can be very uncomfortable and often dissuade people from the path.
Yeah, but it's a good thing if you're working on your self-doubts and things. That's one of the main ways to get on with things. But my recommendation would just be to start practicing, and the self-doubts will mostly take care of themselves as you practice. But that would be my recommendation, would be to just do it.
Yeah, a lot of times the doubts are ingrained belief systems that you have absorbed from your environment and the people around you and so forth. And they sort of feed into the idea of the self-doubt because of that, like, is this really real? Am I really doing anything? Am I just fooling myself? Am I crazy? The usual. And repetition and experience answers the question. It comes to there comes a point when you can no longer doubt the reality of what's happening to you, and then you're in a new phase. So it's pretty interesting. But I agree, just do the practice and let it start to settle in, because what you're doing is you're creating an entire new language of symbolism with your subconscious, and so you're teaching your conscious mind what the symbols are about, and then integrating that into your subconscious mind. And it's sort of like hard to explain in succinct terms. So Moonradish says, who's your favorite entity to work with? Well, it depends on what I'm doing. I have a whole bunch that I work with for various reasons. I mean, I'm not in a single one-on-one relationship with any of them, like to the exclusion of the others. And like if I need protection, I call on the Garuda, and certain types of protection, I call on Artemis. For animal protection, I call on Bast or Bastet. Yeah, so I don't know that I have a favorite. Probably my personal goddess, Aurora, would be the gentlest force I work with. It's sort of interesting that it's been around for so long, and it brings me hope when I work with her, because every day is a new beginning, kind of thing. The idea that there's room to maneuver in a new dawn. Violet says, oh, pardon, Phoenix. Jonathan says, thanks, guys. The reason I ask is because achievements can be interpreted as dead ends, or we can enjoy the achievement, or both. I'm thinking a lot about that at the moment.
Well, that's achievements. So I'm going to take this from the point of view of enlightenment. So achievements are not a bad thing, but they don't need to be, they're not focused on. In fact, they're considered, if you do make an achievement, it's a real achievement, okay. But if you are attached to that, then it becomes an aspect of ego, and that takes you down further from enlightenment. So if you ask the Hindu people, the ones that's into the mystical stuff, they say that they call them cities. Supernatural powers basically are to be ignored as of no consequence. They come as a consequence of development, but shouldn't be seen as achievements. They're just a side effect of your heading towards enlightenment or liberation, whichever you want to go with. So yeah, you're not supposed to be caught up in the mundane world, so achievements really shouldn't bother you or particularly make you feel great, but just as a marker for your progress along a pathway to freedom, enlightenment, whatever.
So Vanessa says, hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. And Jessica says, hello. Hi Vanessa V and Jessica. Yeah, we're doing okay. I'm in a low energy day today because of all the stuff that's going on around the world. And so I just cooled my jets, sat around and tried not to think too much this morning. So Jonathan says, Ian, in your wand video, you made it sound like you have one wand. What is it like living with someone who hoards wands? I do not hoard wands.
Well, that's an amusing question. Actually, I used to have 3, but I broke one of them recently, so now I have 2. But I've got that wand, and I've got one for helping to put me into the Akasha to try to do things from there. So I have an Akashic wand also, which was made out of a piece of yew tree. And I don't know if you're familiar with yew, but they regrow up the center of the tree, so it's a sort of a symbol of resurrection
and regeneration, eternity.
So it makes a good one for the Akasha.
And I gave him that piece of yew. And we harvested that yew from the cabin where we were at, where we had so many amazing experiences when we got to go there. So Louise says, do you do ancestor veneration? No, I don't. And looks like Shay is joining us early. Hi, Shay. So we're going to stop right here before we continue on because Shay had a special request. She would like us to do a minute or two of focused concentration to send energy to the people of Ukraine right now. So whatever kind of powers or beings or so forth that you work with, just sort of keep them in mind and to send energy and strength to the people. I'm going to cry now. I can't talk. Anyway. Sometimes it sucks being an empath. Okay, I'm going to try and move on. So Ruth says, I'm doing.
Well, okay. Louise asked if you do ancestor veneration just above that, but basically no.
I did. I answered that and I said no.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't. Do you?
Well, it would help if I had good ancestors.
That's sort of how I feel about it.
But my family is messed up.
So Josiah says, it seems that there's a lot of self-work that is implemented in craft along with the magical work. It's cool that there's a lot of personal growth along with magical growth in certain magical paths. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is like if you're not doing both of them, you're not getting out of it what you need. Along with what Ian was saying earlier, to me, the goal is not to develop your powers and your abilities. The goal is to develop yourself as a person. And if you do a good job with that, then your abilities naturally engage and expand and become more clear to you as you continue on. So they're not the goal, they're sort of the result. So Desiderodum says, howdy. Do you have any deities or enlightened spirits you work with during any part of a paranormal investigation? If so, how do they like to help? Well, actually, I haven't had any of them come to help that I can think of. I mean, I have my own personal guardians and so forth, but they don't seem to be involved at all when I'm doing my paranormal work. So I guess the answer is actually no, not for me. And well, I mean, once they gave me, or I received the ability to open up the portal between the worlds after I did that huge ritual in Texas, that was pretty much a game changer for my being able to help them, the spirits and beings and so forth, and assist. I really don't think I've called on anyone. I've called on the people that know those who have passed away to come and assist, but that's a different thing. So Ruth says, I'm doing an art for Artemis. Yeah, I like Artemis. Jessica said, I was just about to ask that. I have family in Ukraine and was hopeful something could be done to help them. Yeah, I'm not sure how much help we can be, but I've been doing what I can. And I've been having dreams about doing rituals. Last night I was doing a bunch of them, but I don't remember what they were now, but I was with a group of people. And I'm assuming it was trying to help and send them energy, because that's what's on my mind. So Gary says, hello, Siofra and Ian. We will get back to you about membership. Good idea. Thank you, Loretta and Gary. You're welcome. Thank you for mentioning it. Emmy Love says, let the sunflowers bloom in their free fields soon. Yes, I was actually reading about that sunflower is their national flower. And a lot of people around the world are going to be planting sunflowers in their gardens. I'm very emotional. Jessica says, you have a wonderful heart. And Shay says, I love you, Siofra, arms around you. Thank you, Shay. Jonathan says, thanks on achievements, exactly what I was asking. They are milestones. Did the energy to Ukraine. Thanks on wands. My staff is Yellowwood, which is a cousin of you. I have not heard of Yellowwood, must be native to Africa. Jonathan says, who here is interested in doing a coven working to give Putin hemorrhoids? Actually, I'd like to give him more than hemorrhoids, but, you know. On this Tuesday, Mars is in its singular degree of exaltation, and it's a new moon, impeccable for baneful work. I'll give that some thought. Gary says, yes, what is going on is exhausting. Did some arts and crafts with positive twists today. Peace and love to you all, Loretta. Yeah. And that's the thing, is we have to take care of ourselves while this is going on. So ask me a different kind of a question, if you don't mind, because I need to refocus. Just what I was hoping this show would do. Get me out of this bleh kind of state that I'm in. So let's talk about something fun. Emmy Love says, it sounds like a lot of people are artsy today. I have been too, painting, playing my drum. Let's send our positivity into the world too. Jessica says, what happens to earth spirits in war zones? I think they are devastated. Desiderodum says, had a little vision of Archangel Michael stomping on Putin looking like a serpent. I like that vision. I actually did a sort of a plea, or I don't know what to call it, but, you know, calling on the land spirits and land guardians and so forth, and pointing out the fact that in the old style of kingship, the person in charge was in charge of protecting the land and the people, and that Putin was not doing either one of those things, and was hoping some ancient power would come up and swallow him whole. But we shall see. Jessica said, do they go anywhere, or do they stick around and dodge things like everybody else? I don't know. I haven't met one to ask that question because, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, though. Jonathan says, Ian, thanks again for the wand video. When you use a wand, do you convert universe energy into manifestation in yourself and direct it with the wand, or do you use the wand to convert it?
Well, basically, I use the wand because it saves you from having to have your full ability and focus. Sometimes you want to be focused on what you're trying to accomplish and not, the wand and stuff. So if you charge a wand up, like let's say you made a Saturn wand and you charge that up, and you might want to cut it when Saturn is relevant, like Capricorn in Capricorn, for example.
Or on a Saturday, at least.
Yeah, or on a Saturday for Saturn, that type of thing. But a well-charged wand will sort of take that energy and let you do something with it. So I guess you might say, let's put it this way. You can use it without having the energy go through you directly once the wand is charged up. So if you filled your wand with a planetary energy, and then you want to put that planetary energy into something, you just focus on that happening with assistance from the wand, and it will bring that energy through and charge up something with it. I don't know if I'm saying exactly what I want to, but basically most of the work with a wand can not have to go through you, though there's no problem with doing that if you can muster the energy and you want to direct it that way. Does that make sense?
I think that's pretty much the answer.
Okay.
Taylor says, hello, everyone. Hi, Taylor. Adam says, hi, Siofra. Hi, Adam. Moonradish sent us a present. Hi, Moonradish. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Adam Mohammed says, Siofra, there is a Christian occultist that said on a forum that all Fae are actually fallen angels. From your point of view, do you think that this is true, and can you explain why not you think so? I don't think it's true. I think it's something that Christians made up because the Fae and Earth spirits have been around long before people. Therefore, before religion of any kind, and definitely before Christianity. And, that's their point of view, and they think anything that's not them and not in their definition of what's supposed to be around is from Satan. So I wholeheartedly disagree, and I don't know how else to say that, because it just seems silly.
Yeah,
People are just silly.
Well, to assume that you know everything about a subject like that, any Christian to assume they know everything about death and life and rebirth and fallen angels is showing a huge amount of hubris, if you ask me.
Hubris is the word I was thinking. Okay, so Moonradish says, do you work with demonic divine, or can you comment on the Goetta? Well, I don't work with energies that I'm not comfortable with, and I'm not interested in working with energies that may have a potential backlash kind of effect. There are so many different kinds of entities and energies and goddesses and god forms and stuff out there to work with. I pick things that suit my personality and suit my energy field, and that are going along the same direction that I'm going. So I don't. Unless you mean by demonic that it's just spirit, as in Daemon. And the Goetta doesn't have any interest for me. I've read it, I've looked through it, and so forth. But there's none of the spirit beings in there that interest me, and I don't, don't work with them.
And there's no reason to work with them. I mean, Barton stuff is more powerful and effective, and his spirit seals and things are accurate. They're not mistranscribed or anything. He got them directly from the beings at the time. He personally visited all the beings whom he has listed in that book, got their seal from them, and wrote that stuff down. So I see the Goetta as potentially dangerous, whereas Barden's beings are all the positive beings, and they are potentially much less dangerous and more concerned with your own welfare. So, I prefer to work with other things. I haven't decided that the demons of the Goetta are actually demons, and yet I'd still rather work with beings that I know are more positive.
So Josiah says, I've had really intense dreams that have ended up happening, and I was wondering if there was a way to either drown them out or focus it to have the dreams at will. I have no idea, because sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, if you're going through a bunch of prophetic dreams, I would pay attention to them, because some of them might be able to be avoided. I know that when I was going through a lot of my premonitions, when I was going through puberty, that I learned that there were some that were things I could avoid, and then some that were things that I could not. But if they're like interfering with your ability to function, what kind of things could you use to block dream activity? I mean, you're wanting to tampen down your clairvoyant ability, in essence. So focus more on the lower chakras, like the root chakra, and that kind of thing to pull the energy down more into your body, and maybe that would help. I don't know. Experiment. See what happens. Desidram says maybe someone could call up the Red Caps. They are malevolent chi who spring up from pools of blood spilled during war. The kindly fae have been seen leaving in long caravans before battles. Well, maybe the blood itself will make them rise. Jonathan says, Ian, Dion Fortune writes that Eastern schools teach sensitivity, while Western schools teach methods of magnifying forces to the point they're sensed. Is this your experience?
Actually, I would say that it's Dion Fortune's experience, but we now have the internet and we have all the information available. And I've got no problem with either approach, but a lot of the Eastern schools also teach just raw power. I mean, when you're talking about the Kundalini, for example, you're talking about a raw power and force in the body. I would say both people need both. Working your sensitivity, but also I guess I don't have much to add to that. Yeah, they're closer, I think, because I don't think Dion Fortune had the resources we have nowadays to get a clear view of that.
And so that might have been assumptions based on rumor and so forth, not understanding what the culture meant and understanding the language behind it.
Yeah, she's kind of not wrong there, but yeah, I wouldn't want to go with just one approach.
Adam says, to Moon Radish, the goetic spirits are dangerous, don't have anything to do with them. And to that I say, one of the dangers of certain philosophies of magic, that everything is just a part of your own projection from your inner self, and there's no actual thing out there, no gods, no goddesses, no spirits of any kind, that it's all just you. And from there sort of springs the idea of working with the quote-unquote demon forces to get them under control as a way of getting control of yourself. And I think that that is a dangerous philosophy, because I'm pretty sure that all the gods, goddesses, nature spirits, and beings and so forth that are out there would disagree that they're not real. And you might get smacked upside the head in order for them to prove their point. So it seems like not a good idea. Jessica says, have you heard much about shapes being preferred or disliked by spirits? I learned about curved East Asian roof shapes to ward off evil spirits recently. I think this is sort of a form of feng shui, the idea.
Yeah.
And I haven't, I mean, there's also stories in the West that spirits can't travel over water, which makes no sense to me considering how many ghost ships we have out there. But
yeah, we have to watch, because a lot of that stuff comes from movies and things that people take for real.
And if it isn't your culture, then, It's like if you build something with the idea in mind that you're going to use that shape to repel certain beings, then it will probably work because of the belief behind the construction that you're putting into the process when you're making it. It doesn't mean that it's actually true, like in the larger sense, that all negative spirits would hate this. It means that it's true because you've created this reality in the spirit realm by how you felt, what you thought, what things you picked, and what shapes you chose and why you chose them.
They also use mirrors a lot. That's a big thing. And the Orient is using mirrors to reflect bad energy or bad spirits back out.
So she added, the spiritual side of the idea was that demons hated curves and would fall off due to the drastic angle. Apparently, it gives me a funny mental image.
Well, you know, there's something similar with the idea of using salt to draw circles and things, is that they would have to stop and count every salt particle.
Yeah, that's the whole point of that. So Emily Love says, Dreamcatcher? Well, dreamcatchers are supposed to catch nightmares, and premonitions are not nightmares by definition. They're messages from someone's own subconscious or whatever and giving them warnings. So I'm not sure that a dreamcatcher would work unless it was truly nightmares that he was having. So Adam says, have you ever heard of something called dark matter energy? An occultist said that if you integrate dark matter energy in your energetic bodies, you will be less susceptible to parasitic beings. Well, dark matter makes up most of the universe, and it's the stuff that we can't see. The invisible part of the universe is made out of the dark matter or dark energy, depending on, which part of it we're looking at. And so I have no clue. I'll put it this way. If you are a clear individual and you have good energy and you have good boundaries and self-control and you have a defined personality, you will not attract parasitic or negative beings because they are looking for something specific to feed off of, and you're not offering it to them. So don't be food, is my suggestion. So Josiah says, the prophetic dreams I am having are about situations I have no control over and usually dark in nature, unfortunately. Wim Hof breathing method has helped my anxiety around it, however. So there's like large forces at work, huh? I think I answered the question. Adam wanted to know what our opinion was on this, and I gave mine. So I answered that. Okay, great. So Luna says, Ian, how would you go about magnifying vibrations, i.e. what Dion Fortune was on about?
Honestly, I don't know what she means by that. Magnifying vibrations. Maybe if it's scrying or something, there's ways to help improve that. But yeah, I don't know anything that would really fit under that term. You can bring in more energy, and if you charge something up multiple times, you bring more and more and more in.
There may be ways to focus it in order to magnify it to a single point kind of thing.
Yeah, but honestly, I haven't run across that particular aspects or anything said that way, so I'm not sure exactly what she's referring to. I'd have to go reread some of the old books I have.
So Desiderata was adding to what he was saying about the red elves, and they don't read without earth spirits, land goes barren. This is true. You don't want to have a place without any of your spirits. Then allegedly spirits like malevolent jinn take up residence. In places like Iraq and Afghanistan, sightings have amped way up since, I'm assuming, since the fighting began. Taylor W. says, if a person is stuck with an unhealthy state of mind and doesn't know it, would you leave them alone? Because sometimes they become hostile. I guess I feel bad for them and worry I'm doing the same. Well, the thing is that change only happens from within. No matter how much we might want to help somebody, and they have to come to the realization on their own. You can give them support, emotional support, physical support like housing and stuff like that, but if they are committed to an unhealthy state of mind, it's probably some kind of survival tactic that at least at one point worked for them. And just because we can't see the purpose of it doesn't mean that there isn't a purpose for it. And yes, the only thing you can actually do anything about is your own reactions. Danny says, greetings from Kentucky. I'm learning so much. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you for being here, Danny. Moonradish says, what's the best way to get rid of human spirits? Well, in my experience, the best way to get rid of a human spirit, like a ghost, is to help it cross over to where it needs to be, and you provide it an outlet, and I can open up the portal between the worlds and show them where they are supposed to be going, like what their version of the afterlife is. If they have relatives that are waiting for them, no matter what their religion or philosophy, it will look what they need. And when I helped a Native American who was killed in a battle in Oregon around Sun River cross over, I called on his ancestors and his spirit guides to come and assist him because he had missed his ride, I guess, to the other side, waiting for his body to be found and waiting for specific rites to be performed that weren't. And so, again, it's one of those things you have to be, if you're going to do it, you have to be very open-minded and non-judgmental, because it's not, they're not going to go where you think they should. They're going to go where they're pulled to and where they're supposed to be. But that is the only way to successfully clear a place, is to have them cross over. And I've never had to do confrontational kind of stuff with any of the spirits that I've worked with, even the ones that were sort of angry when I met them or later for various reasons. So, you work with where they're at. Okay, and Desiram says, oops, my earlier post was, and the Fae don't return to places of violent conflict. Well, they must eventually. Otherwise, all of the east coast of the United States would be minus all Fae for all time because of all the battles and the Civil War and stuff happened. So it can't be like forever. I mean, it must be, when people move back in and change the energy of the land and kind of that kind of thing, that they would come back because the plants continue to grow, right? I would think. Mary says, hi, I just got off work. Glad to be here. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining us. Jonathan says, don't be food. Well, yeah, trying to be practical here. If things want to eat you, you must be food, right? Luna says that Josiah Lee, glad to hear Wim Hof is helping. Desideratum says that Adam Mohammed, that sounds about as dangerous as summoning the spirit of a black hole. I don't know what that would be like. That would be... I might want to go out there and fly through one and see what's on the other side. That could be interesting. Vanessa V says, I got a dream catcher yesterday. Do they really work? I continue to have the same recurring nightmare and don't know what else to do. Okay, so one, they don't work all by themselves. You need to charge them up to work, especially if they haven't been made traditionally or so forth. I don't know if you made your own or you bought it from someone who knows how to make them, or whether you just bought one that was in a store. But any of them should be able to work. However, if it's a recurring nightmare, sometimes nightmares are there to give you some important message, and they get more and more intense the longer you don't listen to the message. So I would recommend doing some dream work with the recurring nightmare and see if you can figure out what it's trying to tell you. And if you can do that, then they'll go away. Moonradish says, Ian, who is Bard or Barden Spirit? Sorry, I'm unfamiliar. Can you recommend a book?
And I did that.
Okay, you did that. Yeah. Moonradish says, thanks. Adam Mohammed says, question, what's the best way to open all your chakras? And is it true that if you try to open only one chakra instead of all, starting from the base chakra to the top, you might have problems occurring? Well, yes and no. It depends on what's going on in your chakras. The Sacred Tree meditation that I created is a gentle way to help to energize and equalize and open up your chakras in a non-confrontational or pushy kind of way. they say you can open it up from either end, from either the top or the bottom, or from the heart. There's like 3 different ways to open up all your chakras, but
Well, actually, and I'll point out that along with those 3 ways, you have 3 symbolic lingas in 3 chakras: the brow chakra, the heart chakra, and the root chakra. And any one of those will give you a certain contact and aspect of the Kundalini, and they can be awakened to a certain extent, independently of the other chakras even. There have been people who have had problems by awakening it with the root chakra and getting the Kundalini shooting straight up the spine. In most cases, it's not dangerous. The one I read, there's a story about a bad case by a guy named Gopi Krishna, but that's because he was stupid, and really, when he started getting the awakening, he obsessed over it and started focusing and focusing and focusing on it till he got his body so weak he couldn't do anything, and then he almost died several times and such. But really, use reasonable caution, and it's fairly doable without having major problems.
so when I was little, the spirits talked me through exercises to help with my chakras. And there's like, what they had me do was to focus my energy in a chakra and just be present in it and sort of see it. I'm not sure how to just say what, it's like a different kind of see, and then move up my spine to the next chakra and the next chakra. The thing is that in order for the chakras to be awakened safely all the way, you need to get rid of any blockages that are in them. And so, if you're aggressive about it and you're trying to like blast through your blockages, then you haven't processed whatever it is the blockage is trying to protect you from, because usually those things are in there for a reason. So, if you work on yourself, then you'll be naturally clearing out some of the stuff in your chakras at the same time. And if you can, slowly allow the energy to move, like with the tree meditation, that connects you to the earth energy going up and connects you to the life force energy, divine energy coming down, but without like making it a thing to try to open them. It's just sort of letting the energies come through and do what they're going to do and mingle and so forth. It's better if we're more like a plant. And if you have a bud on a flower bud, you're not going to go in there and just start shoving energy up the stem to make it bloom. Otherwise, it's just going to like bloom and fall off, and it's not going to be healthy. You want it to open up naturally. So again, like with the other stuff, it may not necessarily be the goal to make your chakras open. It's the result of doing the work.
Yeah, and if you're trying to force things open by pranayama or something like that, you can run into problems for sure. And as Siofra was saying, the best way to avoid that is to, you can do the practices associated with each chakra, such as meditation on the earth element for the root chakra, things like that, and you're not working directly on trying to awaken the chakra, but by working on getting control of the earth element, you awaken that chakra. So you take the meditational aspects and the things it represents. There's 4 letters on the 4 petals of the root chakra, Sanskrit letters, each of which has a particular sound. The color, one of the aspects of the root chakra is the color, that deep red. If you just meditate on a deep red, you know, with that. So rather than trying to forcefully work with the chakra, just look at what they have attributed to them, especially in the old texts, and then work with those things. Smell is attributed to the root chakra, I believe, also. So, working with those things will awaken the root chakra, or will awaken your chakras. So that would be my suggestion, would be to take the image of the chakras and what they mean, meditate on the different deities and things inside there, the different forces available. The root chakra has a bija mantra of Lam, Lam, and you can use that to help control, since the bija is the root of an element, you can use that to help you control the earth element. things like that. So rather than poking energy into it or dinking around with it that way, I'd recommend just doing the meditations associated, and that way you end up with a harmless, gentle awakening.
Which is what is ideal. So Luna says, thanks, Ian. It's the same occultism, but I can't remember which chapter, but Jonathan will know. And Loretta says, I feel I need to say how much you have helped me, and I feel stronger. Love you both, Loretta. Thank you, Loretta. And Ian answered the question about Barden. Josiah says, is it possible to tune into someone else's future experiences? The dreams are usually from other people's perspectives. Well, yeah, it is possible.
Possible. I'd say it's pretty unusual, but yeah, I would say it's possible.
It is possible,
Yep.
Especially if you have a strong connection with them. Joey D says, have you ever done a video on opening and closing portals and maybe done a demonstration? Well, I did a video on how I opened the portal in the first place, and the other answer is no, because this was a special circumstance. I opened up a portal in a full-on ritual with 13 other people in the middle of a thunderstorm in Texas. And we raised the energy to pierce the veil between the worlds to help this entire warrior group, about 13 or so spirits that were roaming the land and sort of wreaking havoc in their wake, to help them cross over. And when they crossed over, we had ball lightning explode in that spot we were focused on. And then I knew that they had crossed over and the portal was closed. And it was after that that I was able to just open and close them at will. So it's not like a series of things that I've learned how to do. It was like this intense moment in time that then gifted me with the ability to do so. But I'll think about it and see if there's other, ways that I can help other people figure out how to do this, because it was sort of a weird, a weird way to have that happen. Jonathan says, Luna and I are reading Fortune's Sane Occultism together. I do not recommend it. She suggests ceremonial magic is taught in Western schools to magnify vibrations. I call BS immediately. Okay. So Jessica says, are there any more common, relatively, spirits that take up residence in houses beyond just people? My parents' house is 130 years old and very active, a mix of what seems to be people and other things. Well, see, it's going to depend on what was there on the land before. There can be land guardians that used to occupy that land. There could be other types of land spirits that used to occupy that land. There could be things that people who used to live there did that opened it up to other spirit beings wandering in. It could be sitting on an active portal. And there was a house like that here in Coos Bay that I went to that was basically an open portal, and spirits from all around the area were drawn to it and went through, and some stayed and some were there for a while and left. So without knowing exactly what's going on, it's kind of hard for me to be specific. But yeah, I mean, I have other kinds of spirits that wander through my house at the moment, like the she and the fae and so forth, that are, and some of the elementals that I'm working with. And my house is sealed off to human spirits because I don't need to be awakened in the middle of the night with somebody asking me to help them cross over to the other side, or wanting to know what I'm doing, shedding light in my bed. So, yeah. So Desiderodum says that totally makes sense that the Fae would come back eventually. I mean, Nagasaki and Hiroshima have been rebuilt and are thriving, from what I've read. They were nuked. Yeah, that's true. And I think that it definitely disrupts the fabric of the area, but then things readjust and reestablish connections and stuff like that over time. So Vanessa V says, I've done the dream work, it still comes back. It isn't always the same dream, but the theme does repeat. I know I have things to work on, but the nightmares don't help. Okay, so see if you can charge up that dream catcher. Desiderodum says that Adam, sorry, frankincense essential oil, therapeutic grade, is safe to take internally for people without allergies. Did I miss a question? Oh, opening up chakras. So Taylor says, just curious, have you seen any of the Matrix movies? Well, I've seen them all, but they're just movies and they're not real. They're fun to watch. Jacqueline says, I watched a bumblebee rip open the blooms on a lavender plant. Wow, I did not know they were that aggressive. Well, I won't ask them to rip open my chakras, that's for sure. Vanessa V says, I feel like the nightmares just make it worse. I don't know if I can stand them anymore. Okay, so I'll do some thinking on this and send me an email, or if you've sent me like a friend's request or something through Facebook, send me a message on Messenger. I'll do a little research and see if I can come up with something that might be able to help. Or you can send me an email at siofrasmagicalcove@gmail.com, and I'll still do the same thing. So Charlie says, hi, love watching you guys. I have a question about shadow work. I've been doing it, and it seems like the depression is getting worse. Is this normal? This is the first time ever really attempting it. Well, you definitely need to take breaks from shadow work and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and not going too far too fast. So if you're depressed, do things to help with that. I don't know if you need, counseling or medication or a change for what you're doing. Balance it out with some nurturing kinds of things. Take a good bath and let the depression leave your body, or the negative energy leave your body, and go out. You might want to try the cup transformation ritual spell that I put up, and you can transform some of that energy into something brighter and more energetic that you would like it to be instead of the depression. I use that quite a bit in the beginning. So Mary says, do you really want to open all your chakras? What is the purpose?
Hang on, I have a thing to that, but I gotta delete the rest of this crap.
Okay. Well, I mean, your chakras need to be working in order for you to survive. So having good chakras is a good thing. It's a sort of a circulatory system of your energy body, and it helps with the connection with the unseen worlds and so forth that are around us, and it helps if you can balance them out. Then you're a more a balanced individual. It's not a bad thing, and it's not necessarily something that you have to focus on in order to make happen. If you're doing the work, it's going to happen on its own too. So Mixed Diva says, hey, I finally made it to alive. Welcome.
Oh, I was gonna...
You want to add to the thing about the chakras?
Yeah, I was kind of distracted, so I didn't really hear what you said.
Well, her question is, do you really want to open all your chakras, and what is the purpose?
Well, well, the purpose, if you're doing it right, is for self-development. For example, the root chakra, if you get it opened and controlled properly, will help you control the earth element. The chakra at your sacral plexus will help to control water. If you go up to the navel, it helps you get control over the fire element, and so on and so forth. The heart chakra is the air element. So basically, you'd want to open them to gain the various steps along the path to enlightenment, assuming you're trying for enlightenment. And again, successful opening of them confers certain, what people would call supernatural powers, but those are to be considered dangerous and a potential distraction from reaching your goal of enlightenment.
So Vanessa V says, thanks for the answer on the dream catcher. I'll charge it today. Any advice on how to do it? Well, I would hold it. Think about the fact what it's supposed to do. The idea is the beads that are within the web are there to catch the bad dreams and to make them go around and around and around endlessly in a circle in the web of the dream catcher. But it will let good dreams come through. So when you're charging it up, visualize that. or say it out loud, or write something about it and read it or whatever. And then hang it like on the wall behind your head so that it's right there where your mind is, so it can catch the dreams before they get to you.
So I accidentally deleted one message I didn't intend to delete from Mixed Diva. It says, my pendulums keep breaking. Do you think it could be because I'm not supposed to use them? And I accidentally deleted that while I was working on the porn spam. So I'm sorry, so
the answer to that question is...
Oh, well, I just didn't want you to miss the message. I mean, because nobody's going to be able to read it since I deleted it.
Well, right. You just said the question.
Well, it depends on how they keep breaking. It could be, but
I would try using a metal one and see what happens.
There's always coincidence too. Yeah, it's hard to say how they keep breaking. It's like if you have a brass pendulum, it's hard for it to break.
Yeah, I have one of those.
If they're glass or crystal, those are breakable for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Okay, so Desideradum says at Jessica, possibly brownies or a gatekeeper or Larry. Shifa and Ian can tell you more about them. I don't know who Larry is. You'll have to illuminate me. Otaku Gen X says, I love your videos. Is there anywhere you have a recipe for your concentrator liquid? It actually should be on our website on Etsy, and I put it on one of the videos.
You just get the book and read it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, typing it out is the only way because there's too many herbs and stuff in it.
There's too many herbs and things, yeah. And include a small amount of gold, and if you're using it for personal purposes, a drop or two of your own blood will help it to be a very effective condenser.
So Adam says, thanks, Desideradum. And Mixed Diva says, I'm in Oregon too, by the way. Well, local. There's a fair number of people actually in Oregon. Some up near Portland. So Desideradum says, cheers at Adam Mohammed. I just learned about it a few minutes ago and it works fast. So you added the simple fluid condenser can be made of a strong black tea or strong chamomile. There's a more powerful concentration one. Actually, I think it might have more than even 16 ingredients. It might be up to 20 something. But yeah, I think I posted it on our on our Etsy page, but I'll have to look. And okay, so here's the thing. Go to the community tab and ask the question, and I'll post it there so everyone can find it. How's that? And I'll put the whole formula up there for you.
Cool.
So Jonathan says, interesting that you touched on vegetarianism this week. Just as I read Fortune's chapter on the topic, problem is when people make vegetarianism a religion. Yes, that is the problem.
Yeah, I agree. And I also agree with Barden that it's not, though it can be helpful, it's not necessary to make magical progress. There's a lot of people who take that a lot more seriously than perhaps they should, but depending on where you're coming from, you save the karma of eating animals that have been killed and things like that. So
yeah, it's a personal choice.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, but yeah.
So Vanessa V says, thank you. You're welcome, Vanessa. Desideradum says, Shiofra, I'd recommend frankincense oil for dislodging ghosts or low vibration energetic attachments. It's powerful stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice stuff.
I like it. And I like using both frankincense and myrrh sometimes in cleansing because one will dissipate negative and the other will bring in the positive. It's a really old-fashioned formula. So Jessica says, my mom came by to ask a question. Can spirits smell like rotting decay, a bad smell? She slept in one of the more historically active rooms here and woke up to it in the middle of the night. Well, I certainly have gotten smells, and I've gotten a lot of different kinds of smells. Usually that's not the one I get the most. Not now. I mean, of course my house isn't haunted. So, but yeah, definitely it can smell like sulfur or rot, or it can be perfume or smoke. A lot of people see or smell smoke. There's certain hauntings that in our local area that a certain perfume is attributed to the spirit of lavender, I think, was the one up at the lighthouse. So phantom smells are definitely a possibility. So Jessica says it also prevented her from getting back to sleep for a while. What might this be? Normally the house feels safe, but this apparently happened more than once. She says she was not afraid. I don't know.
Yeah, every situation is so individual.
Adam says that Jessica, I think demons are supposed to smell like that. Could be wrong, though. Well, certainly they historically are supposed to smell like sulfur, which often smells like rot. But then again, that's one of those things. It's an assumption that we make, and it's a conclusion that we're drawing. So I would try not to draw too many conclusions from it. But you might want to do something like there's this nice orange spray that we use that doesn't stay too long. That's actually all natural, instead of like one of those icky Febreze thingies that make me want to die from choking and sneezing and whatnot. Or, some other kind of pleasant smell put in there to dissipate it and see if that helps. Or check the walls for dead rats. I mean, it could be that there's an animal that has died and that's what you're smelling. Because it could be actual decay, not just a phantom smell. And the reason she wasn't able to go back to sleep would maybe because it sets off alarms in our heads that something is wrong, that there's something going on. And so our instinctive survival instincts kick in. So it may be that could be happening. So Charlie says, thank you. Yeah, I'm on depression medication. It's just I've been doing it all month every day and for a class that I've been taking, and I'm going pretty deep, so that could be that. I'm slowed down a bit. You got to take care of yourself because, yeah, that's the thing is we're important too, and we need to take care of ourselves. It's definitely a good thing. And you should never do it as long, just because someone says you're supposed to be doing that. You got to follow your instincts when it comes to that and take care of you. So Jonathan says, Jessica, extremely common. It means the intelligence is not nice. That is, if it's coming from an intelligence. Again, it's an assumption. Jessica says that Adam, I did ask her if it smelled like sulfur. She said no, just like rotting. And she's had bad feelings from things before, not from this though. So maybe it is an animal in the wall. So Charlie says there are things coming up that I never knew that ever had any effect on me mentally, and I think it's maybe a little bit too much for me to handle. Yeah, I went through, when I was in Santa Cruz, I was, doing a lot of shadow work as in therapy and so forth, and I started doing this a batch essence. People think it's Bach flower essences, but it's actually Batch because he was British, and that's how his name was pronounced, which everyone around me found annoying whenever I tell them that, and they refuse to say it that way. But it was one of his formulas for remembering repressed memories, and I started using it, and it started working, and I had to stop because too much was coming up too quickly. So, yeah. Jessica says that Jonathan, thank you. I thought the same. Odd that she wasn't bothered. There was something in that room with my baby brother 2 decades ago that she intervened on. She was upset after that one. Octagu Gen X says, okay, thank you very much. Hugs. I love your videos. Thank you very much. Mary says, I see about chakras better now. I always hear people talking about it. I guess I like the terminology to balance them rather than opening them all seems a little more intense. Maybe it's the same. Well, if you're balancing them, it's better. When I was doing energy healing, and what I would scan the chakras without interfering with them first, and I would feel which ones were active, which ones were blocked, which ones were like, dead kind of thing, and and just sort of get a read for all of the chakras, and then I would work to balance them around the same level. So the overactive ones I would dampen, the underactive ones I would excite, I guess, raise up their vibration a little bit, and just try and get the energy flowing evenly through all of them at kind of the same level. And because if you're too much in one, it gets you all off balance, and then you're going to have problems.
Yeah, that's true.
So Mixed Diva says, no worries, I actually had a feeling you might delete it when I saw the spam. I'll definitely try using a metal one. The pendulums I've had thus far have been crystals. Thanks for the answer. Well, it could be your energy is just finding the natural flaws in the crystal.
Yeah.
Is just causing them to crack. Desiratum says, sorry, I can't spell Larry, but it's an old Roman house spirit that protects, brings prosperity, and blesses. Okay. Jonathan says, angelica, sage, lime flowers, cucumber skin, melon seed, acacia blossom. Oh, you're putting up the whole fluid condenser.
But don't forget the gold in that. You need to put some gold particles in that one way or another for it to be really effective. And the way we've done it in the past is to use electrolysis to put gold in water that we mixed with it.
Yeah. Luna says, someone needed to say that about Febreze. Siofra, thank you. Just drives me nuts.
Apparently you're not the only one.
And it's in everything. I mean, it's in garbage bags, and it's in vacuum bags, and it's in... I mean, every time I turn around, they found something else to put it in, and then they advertise the stuff that stays for 24 hours, and every time you step on it, it poofs out the wonderful smell, and I'm going like, oh my God, somebody is trying to kill me. It would be so tortured if I went to someone's house and every time I sat on something or made a step, this poof of whatever the heck it is, chemical insanity would come wafting up my nose and try to kill me. Jessica says, thanks, Siofra. She says she smelled perfume a few days ago, too. She does get phantom smells a lot. At the time of the stinky smell, she immediately felt like it was a spirit. And there's a number 2. Come back here. And just also said, I wonder if the stinky smell was the cranky one that made Ben cry as a baby. It was in the same room. Used to be as a child. Okay, I guess I didn't miss that one. Okay. Desert says, Jessica, that could be a cryptid or interdimensional spirit, like Siofra was saying. First, rule out mundane symptoms like carbon monoxide, dead animals, etc. She also mentioned frankincense and myrrh. Yes, I did. TV Movie says, hello, I guess I'm late this time. Yes, you are, but you're here now, so that's good. And Jessica says at Desert thank you, definitely no dead things. We've had the cat bring in a few gifts before, but she said this wasn't like that. I'll try and get her to do nice smells. Idea 2. Jonathan says, Siofra and Ian are Reiki masters. I'm just a random African, so defer to them. But my understanding is that opening chakras allows energy to flow. We need our energy to flow or else it stagnates.
That's true also, though Reiki doesn't deal directly with the chakras, for what that's worth.
Right, it's sort of a different energy system. It's a special 28 angels that have agreed to spread healing energy around the planet through anyone who learns their secret symbols and gets attuned by someone else who knows them and is attuned to them. So it's like a very specific stream of energy that comes from a single place. So Desert says that, Jessica, that incense is very potent to spiritually cleanse a space if paranormal activity may be an open portal. Well, it sounds like they've been in this place for a while, so they probably know more about that possibility, I guess, since it's their location. And I caught up. Wow. At least for a few seconds. We're having a bit of a wind right now. I noticed the wind was coming up last night. Energy pyramid scheme.
Energy pyramid scheme. All right.
All right. How do we do that? Adam says, question, what is your opinion on Barbara Brennan and her healing system? I have no idea. I've never looked at her healing system. I don't know anything about her, so I have absolutely no opinion.
Same here.
I mean, the healing that I've done since I was like 4. So that was without anyone else's input. And then the input I did get was generalized input, kind of from another healer and 2 different healers. And then I sort of developed my own approach. So, Jacqueline says, comment on Reiki. Oh, I see. It is true, considering how much they charge. We were lucky. We actually got it from a Reiki master who didn't actually charge us anything because she owed us. It was sort of a trade. Yeah. And yes, I suppose the reasoning for that is to dissuade the unworthy and the unserious, but it seems to me that it just sort of dissuades people without money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $10,000 to become a Reiki master for most of the classes. And who the hell can afford that?
It's a little absurd, the amounts. But that's just my opinion.
So Jessica says, Desiderata, I generally couldn't tell you. I don't see them now. I just know they're there. It feels weird. She sees full-on apparitions and smoky things, but it doesn't bother her. I find it creepy. Well, I think it's good it doesn't bother her because fear gives them a hold.
Yeah, and you can actually create your own thought forms and stuff through fear that will also join in the party.
That's right. You can have all kinds of things going on that aren't actually there and that you just sort of created on your own. So, good to be clear. Jessica says at Desideratum, the entire house is active, but there's definitely parts of it that seem more popular than others, so maybe there's something to what you're saying. There's birds flying out there. They keep distracting me. I can hear them singing. So, spring is here and coming around in our area, that's for sure. Which is a nice energy. But, you know, there's so many things that are going on in the world, sometimes we can't get a definition for all of them. Mixed Diva says, I've had a deity, at least I think it's a deity. It certainly appeared to be one in my mind's eye. Reach out to me. What is your recommendation to identify what it is? Well, I would certainly look at the things that are around it. Usually it'll give you some pretty clear clues. And if you can really see it, you can ask it what its name is. It generally will tell you. Little L.W. Wayne says, I am a Libra heir and have gifts and talk to the dead. Been doing this forever. Yep, me too. Jessica says, how exciting. It's still very wintry here. Well, we're on the coast, and the coast is like a different microclimate all its own. Yep. I mean, 2 days ago we were frost on the ground, and we had a cold spell. I guess some cold air came descending down upon us. And we actually, I think, hadn't had that many frost days this winter, and then all of a sudden we had like 3 or 4 in a row.
But we always have kind of a late summer, because when summer comes on, it starts heating up inland, it pulls all the water up in fog. So we end up with foggy, overcast days when it's hot inland.
Yep.
And then we get our summer
in October.
When their summer starts going away.
Yeah, late September, early October are our best months as far as the weather goes here. It's sort of, we have usually a nice Indian summer, I guess.
Yeah,
not sure if that's still the term.
The ocean makes a big buffer to keep the temperature more even.
Yes, it definitely is more even. Which at this point in my life I appreciate, because I'm not fond of super cold or super hot anymore. But yeah. But I can see some buds on the trees in the backyard starting. And I think my cherry will be blooming soon. So I'll see about picking some more cherry blossoms from it this year. We had a Cooper's hawk come and land on our fence the other day. Haven't seen him in a couple years now, I think. And he just landed straight on our fence and just hung out for a while, and then went to another part of the fence and then sat on the cherry tree for a bit.
Because surprise, all the birds left.
I know, big surprise. So Adam says, question, have you ever seen any cryptids in real life before, or at least know anyone that had an encounter with them before? If so, what did they describe it as? Well, I met a person in British Columbia who said that he went into a cave and came out the other side into the land of the unicorns. And he also encountered some Sasquatch. But that's the only person I think I've met who had personal encounters. Desideраtum says, Jessica, laugh out loud. Anyone who can see a full-bodied apparition and not faint shit or code blue has my respect. Yes, Desideраtum is the cryptid expert here. I've had visions of things. Like I saw a whole wooded, a forest turn into a like a grassy hill with a unicorn standing on it, which was awesome. Mary says, when I am falling asleep, I sometimes hear someone talking to me and I feel like I'm somewhere else, but when I concentrate to hear him better, I snap out of it and can't remember what he was saying. Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? In our family, we have this thing of any kind of electronics, or like a machine, not electronics so much, but a machine kind of a thing. And that is in the background. It starts to turn into a voice, but it's a voice you can never understand. My granddaughter started having that happen to her when she was younger, and it freaked her out. And I said, oh no, I said, that's normal, ignore it. Don't pay any attention to it. And so she did. Sometimes it's the best thing to do is ignore it. If it's not going to be clear, why bother? So Adam says, Desideраtum, have you ever seen a cryptid in real life before? Mary says, how can I remember what they are saying and not snap out of that when it's happening when I concentrate? Don't concentrate, let it happen, and if you remember something, great, and if not, it was probably just one of those things.
Yeah, every time you come out of it, just try and remember it, and if you can write down anything of what you remember, just the practice of doing that will tell your subconscious that you want to remember those things better, and so that might help you.
So Adam says that Mary, I think that is a familiar spirit. I guess that depends on your definition of the word familiar, because generally speaking, a familiar is supposed to be someone who helps a witch with her spells, and a familiar spirit meaning someone who's familiar with you, maybe?
Well, yeah, and the old familiars, you're supposed to be able to say if you had a cat as a familiar, to actually potentially steer that cat around and look through its eyes, that type of thing.
So I'm pretty sure that's not what's happening at Mary's house.
Yes.
The voice.
That would be a familiar.
Right.
But not a familiar spirit, I guess. But.
Well, familiar can be either a spirit being or a living being, so it just depends on what kind you end up with.
One day I focused and made lots of focus and concentration on our kitty cat, and when I finally got a perspective view of how that kitty cat viewed herself, it was so alien, it freaked me out completely. Cat personalities are nothing like human. Their image of themselves, it was like a eating tube with teeth and claws, and that was basically the thing, eat, teeth, claws, protect. Pretty basic, but it was strange, so for what that's worth.
It was unexpected when he did that.
Yes.
Because he really liked that cat. It was his cat, and that was Jasmine.
Yeah, she was a sweet cat.
And he just thought of her as this loving, cutesy little thing, and then he got in touch with her, and it's like, whoa, okie dokie, let's not do that again.
Yep, freaked me out a bit.
So, Adam is asking Desideраtum about whether he's seen a cryptid or known anyone who's seen a cryptid before. Mixed Diva says, have you had any experience with working with Nordic runes? A little bit. We used some runes when we were rescuing the Buddha spirit from the antique shop. But that was because the woman I was working with was using the runes, and we used some protective runes in order to, she was worried about it wanting to stay in our bodies because we were using ourselves as a conduit for the spirit to get to the statue. But I haven't really used the runes much. I started exploring them for a while, but it just kind of, I'm not in that phase of doing a lot of divination. Moonradish says, can you comment and give your opinion on Santa Muerta, Mexican folk saint? Isn't that a death, Day of the Dead, or Saint of Death?
Well, it sounds like it would be from the name, but I'm not.
I'm not Mexican. I'm not that familiar with their folk traditions, so I guess I can't really say anything.
Yeah.
Jonathan says, Adam, I saw a wall crawler once. Siofra helped me deal with it. Well, yeah, but I don't consider wall crawlers cryptids. Yeah, they're a type of spirit that or thought form combination, thought form spirit or whatever that a lot of paranormal people are starting to notice. They like to feed off negative energy. Mixed Diva says, "Bah ha ha, sounds like a cat. Oh, to be a cat." Adam says, "Can you comment on where exactly can you find angels in the astral? How do you reach them when you astral travel?" I don't have to reach them. They're all around all over the place, so I really don't know if they have their own level or not. I have two that are with me mostly all the time, and when I was a kid, I saw them everywhere. I saw them in churches. I saw them in the woods. I don't think that, there's a specific realm in particular. Desidram says that Adam, yes, and the feeling is a whiteout sheer terror. In my case, it takes a while to get yourself together mentally after. You keep asking yourself whether or not you really saw it. So, yeah. I mean, it's not like the astral and the mental realms have got a street map that are like evenly divided and you can like find a route to get there. It's an energetic spot. And the angels can travel through all of the different planes without any difficulty. So it's not like they're stuck on one or another.
Yeah, they're. I guess I don't need to elaborate that.
Yeah. So Ruth says, "Can you get books on her on eBay?" Books on who?
It says you can get books.
Oh, you can get books on her on eBay. Okay.
I'm sure that's the, what was it? Well, it was Larry.
The Larry?
Yeah,
Larie?
yeah. But anyway.
Okay, that's between you guys. We're just listening in on that conversation.
So yeah, my suggestion to Adam would be learn to astral travel. Find out for yourself.
Yeah.
That's the only way any of it'll be convincing to you. Find it out for yourself. Go out there and look around.
So now he wants to know, is there an advantage to working with elemental spirits as compared to any other type of spirit that you can't get?
The only advantage in working with elemental spirits is if you want something of their element. If you're looking for buried treasure, go with an earth spirit. If you want to catch something on fire, use a fire spirit. I mean,
they're very specific.
You can learn from a fiery spirit, for example, ways to improve your blood flow and things like that are correspond to Mars. It's fiery, so basically you use the elemental spirits when you want to deal with something doing with that element. If you wanted to do an air ritual, you'd use an air spirit to,
clear your head.
Clear your head, try to clear the clouds, try to send something through the over the air to somebody else to hear, which is another practice you can do from Barden stuff. So, yeah, basically whatever their domain is, that's the thing. Since they're elemental and they have one domain and one thing they can work with, and that's all. So you wouldn't go to a fire spirit to ask you to teach you how to do astral travel or things like that. You just deal with fire element. If you want to deal with a volcano, go to a fire spirit.
Get information on where the fire might be in the planet and if it's coming up.
Yeah, things
they
like
might
that.
know. So Gary says, "Can you make your own pendulum? And if so, what material should you use? And have you ever used the spirit board?" Loretta. Well, I have used Ouija boards. I've got one right here in our temple. I don't use it very often at this point. I used it more when I was a kid and then early on in some other stuff. Material to use for making your own pendulum. You certainly can make your own pendulum and you can try different things. Ian's trying using a silk thread for the string to influence or to insulate his energy from the pendulum so it doesn't move on its own and do whatever you're thinking, which is my problem.
It does whatever you want it to do, yeah.
You can hang a crystal or a piece of metal or whatever from a chain or from a ribbon. I mean, you can use a lot of different things to make a pendulum.
Yeah, there are pretty much no limits in that regards. Anything can become a good pendulum for you if you make it. It works well, has enough weight to it.
Yeah, if it's too light, a feather wouldn't work good as a pendulum because it would just go like like that all the time. So you want something that'll swing. Because usually pendulums, they got to swing or go in a circle or go in a straight line or whatever, change directions. So Mary says, thank you for your insights on trying to remember who I'm hearing at night. Desidratum says that Jonathan was the wall crawler, little or big. They're about 3 feet, I think, in general. Sophia says, hello from Brooklyn. Hi, Sophia. Jonathan says, it's early. Stream isn't over. Thanks, everyone. Siofra, your heart is massive. Ian, you're a gem. Anyone here can join me on Tuesday to send hemorrhoid energy to Putin. Keep well, Alcove, Kevin. Oh, we still have 5 minutes. Jonathan says, Desideratum, size of a really big dog. Yeah, so like 2-3 feet. Mary says, hi to Brooklyn. Yeah, so they're kind of odd looking. They don't have real features. They've got a head and legs and sort of claws on the end of their feet, or their, not feet, ends of the limb kind of thing. Some of them do, some of them don't, but they cling a lot of times upside down. I was watching some show the other day where they had what looked exactly like a wall crawler. One of the horror flicks or something, climbing down the wall, except it was supposed to be a person, but it was like, yeah, that's kind of how they look. Mixed Diva says, one time I tried to use a small speaker tied to a string as a pendulum, and it actually worked. I hope it was small. Yeah. Moonradish says, how do you ask for a familiar? Well, I mean, it
depends on the aspect. If you're like trying to petition the goetic spirits to give you a familiar spirit or something like that, then you have to evoke the particular one that can give that to you, and then ask them to.
Yeah, but we've established we don't want to work with them.
So we don't want to do that because it's the same thing as making a pact with the being, which means after death you'll have to work with that being exclusively for a while. So that is the not recommended method to do it.
Well, I mean, really, not everyone uses a familiar spirit. Not everyone needs a familiar spirit. I have power animals and totem animals that I work with that are not physical, and I get along really well with animals of all kinds. So I don't have a particular one that's real life kind of thing that I work with, although apparently I have a hypnotic effect on rabbits. And I put my granddaughter's rabbit to sleep on my lap, and I had to decide I was going to let the rabbit wake up and go and stop petting and touching the rabbit. And it took about 5 minutes before the rabbit came to and went, oh, okay, we're done, and then leaped off my lap, which was pretty cute. So, it's it's just another one of those things. It's depends on the witch, depends on the practitioner, whether or not they want one or have one or not. And it's certainly not like in the movies. So Desiram says that Jonathan, yikes, what I saw was about 7 to 8 feet tall, possibly a young pale walker, milky white, naked humanoid, glowing eyes. Well, that sounds icky. Yeah, I've not seen one of them. So yeah, yikes, I would say. Yikes is a good response. Mixed Diva says, bunnies are so cute. Yes, they are. Mary says, I love hearing about your crows, Siofra. How have your crows been? Enjoying their peanuts? Yes, they have. I actually did a little video I haven't figured out how to download just so I can share it with everybody. And I went walking out in the morning, and there were not a single crow in the sky. It was a beautiful blue day. I started making a couple of caws, and by the time I got to throwing the peanuts out, some crows had started, and then I have them coming in from all directions, and there's about 30 or 40 of them that descended upon the lawn. It was pretty cute. Moonrider says, thanks to both of you. Thank you. Jessica says, I adore crows, any bird really, but I love how clever corvids are. They are very, very clever. Jonathan says, the Desideratum, ugly black color, hanging upside down, about 5 feet tall, spider-like. Yeah. So, anyway, I guess we're now coming up on our hour and 30-minute mark. So, I guess you guys Are pixies real? Well, Ian has met a sprite, so I'm assuming pixies probably
Fire
are
spray,
too.
Yeah.
So thank you all for coming and for the conversation. And in this difficult time, send as much energy as you can at different times, and think about the people in the Ukraine, and maybe plant some sunflowers in your yard to help them out. So, all right, love you guys. Thank you all. Blessed be.